Hello all my minifigs, I am B-Man Lego Boy and thank you very much for clicking on this very special video. And today guys, I have another update for you, and it's not your typical update video because it has nothing to do with the Main Street Electrical Parade or anything to do with the US Disney parks like I've been putting out, but as we all should be aware, for those of us in the Zootopia community, since this has been out for a few days now, on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019, Disney Parks officially announced that Zootopia Land is coming to Shanghai Disneyland. Guys, I am so excited for this. I am so happy that Zootopia Land is going to be a thing somewhere in the world, and quite honestly, I was literally freaking out like this.
When you're part of a team!
Okay, maybe my reaction was a little bit more exciting than that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And with this exciting news, guys, we also did get a little article about this new land coming soon to Shanghai on the Disney Parks blog. And the article reads, "Today, Shanghai Disney Resort announced that a Zootopia-themed land is coming to Shanghai Disneyland, marking the second major expansion since the resort opened in 2016. Based on the Walt Disney Animation Studios' hit animated movie, this exciting development will be the park's 8th themed land and the first ever Zootopia-themed land at any Disney park. Guests will be invited to experience the mammalian metropolis of Zootopia, where anyone can be anything, with a new major attraction that will seamlessly blend Disney storytelling and state-of-the-art technology to bring this fan-favorite movie and its characters to life, including Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Entertainment, merchandise, and food and beverage offerings will invite guests to fully immerse themselves in the Academy Award-winning animated movie. The development of the world's first Zootopia-themed land follows the huge success of the Zootopia animated movie globally, particularly in China, where it broke box office records to become the country's #1 animated feature film in history. Construction is targeted to begin later this year. As always, keep your eyes on the Disney Parks blog for more exciting updates, all the way from Shanghai Disney Resort." Now, as for my opinion on this, guys, like I said, I'm really excited for this because we have been begging Disney to give more attention to Zootopia, and it looks like our cries have finally been answered. Now, am I a little disappointed that this is going to be put in China and not here in the US? Yes, I am disappointed, but I'm willing to overlook it because now I have a reason to go to Shanghai Disneyland, and quite honestly, it's just so exciting, the fact that for the first time ever, years from now, whenever this themed land opens, we're going to actually be able to experience Zootopia in real life. That is going to be a dream come true for a majority of the fandom, if not everyone, who can go there. And for those of us here in the US who unfortunately can't make it, there could be something that we might be hearing possibly years from now that I will be discussing in just a few seconds. So guys, here to talk about more about this new Zootopia land coming to Shanghai is my good friend from online, Stuffwell. So everyone, please welcome him to our video.
Salutations and greetings, minifigure adventurers. I'm Stuffwell, and I'm here to give you some of my input on the all-new Zootopia land coming to Shanghai.
Alrighty, sounds good. So, I was just explaining to the viewers on how firstly, my opinions on this new land, and I am going to be talking about a little bit more of what we could potentially maybe see, and maybe, if we're lucky, something else we could potentially see in the future of this land possibly coming somewhere else. We'll explain later, guys, but for now, I guess I'll give it to Stuffwell for just now. So, please continue.
Well, I do have an inside source who actually does work at Animal Kingdom, but I don't know if he wants to be known through this video or not. So he shall be nameless. Excuse me. From what he's told me, there are signs pointing toward that it could possibly be coming. We don't know when, but soon. I can confirm for you that soon, we don't know when, but soon, we will be getting Nick's Popsicles available at Animal Kingdom. So be on the lookout for that.
Which I cannot wait for. Even though I don't know what flavor they'll be, they'll probably be like maybe, since they're red, they'll probably be like maybe raspberry or something flavored. I don't care what the flavor is. I'm gonna get me some, or at least one, because I've been wanting to taste that delicious treat ever since we first saw it in the film. And I'm like, nope, don't care. I'm going to get it no matter what.
Until then, of course, we can always make our own. I personally have made my own as well as lollipops.
Ooh, interesting.
But, you know, I thought that, you know, since they, you know, popsicles melt, why not do lollipops? Anyway, so, yeah, we at least have something coming to Animal Kingdom at some point. Now, there has been talk that there may be issues with it, there may not be issues with it, but who knows? I know it's kind of polarizing to some fans over there. Some fans of Animal Kingdom prefer it to be about conservation. Others, they're just all for Zootopia being in Animal Kingdom. And I myself have so many ideas that I have discussed with Brian, among a few others, about all of my grand ideas for this place, which I need to write down at some point. But there is the potential, there is the space, there are just so many places within Animal Kingdom that I think it would fit. Now, as I understand it, the other park of choice is Hollywood Studios. I would be fine with that, personally, but, you know, just seeing as, you know, Zootopia has to do with animals, why not put it in Animal Kingdom? That's just my reasoning behind that. So,
my thoughts exactly as well, because it really makes sense. I mean, yes, there are people out there who, like, know Animal Kingdom from, like, the very beginning when it first opened, but in my opinion, like, the parks change. Like Walt said, the parks continually change, and they'll never be finished. Therefore, things are going to change, guys. So, it really, like, at this point, there really is no certain, like, motto for a park anymore, or at least in my opinion. And especially, like we're saying, because Zootopia is an animal world, it would fit in Animal Kingdom. Now, do I think that it could come to Hollywood Studios? Yes, I do. And would I have a problem with that? No. I really don't really care where they put it as long as they build it. But in my honest opinion, I do think the most logical place to put it would be in Animal Kingdom. But the question is, where, if not, they're going to be, since they are going to be refurbishing Rafiki's Planet Watch, which was rumored to be replaced by Zootopia Land. But at this point, I think that's out the window. So I guess they'll try and have to find somewhere else to put it if they are to do it there.
It could be out the window, and it also could not be out the window. We just don't know for sure. We do know that at the moment, Walt Disney World is gearing up for the 50th. So, build anything additional, such as a Zootopia-themed land, would probably not be in the cards until the 50th is nearing to a close.
Exactly, because they have to build the Tron coaster, which that's really getting underway, guys, because I was just recently at Disney in January. The construction for that is really going right now, especially since the Walt Disney World Railroad recently closed. They're also working on the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster at Epcot, as well as the new Ratatouille attraction, which will be coming to the France Pavilion. And I believe they might be doing some other stuff to the park, because I heard like it's getting like a big overhaul or something, but I could be wrong. And they also are still working on Galaxy's Edge over at Hollywood Studios, which, for those of you who are big Star Wars fans and Zootopia fans, just remember, I mean, it's, even though they're going to be getting Zootopia Land first, just remember, guys, we're getting Star Wars Land first, and that's a franchise that's been loved for over 40 years. And I actually just recently found out, for those of you who are watching this in France, I have learned that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will be coming to Disneyland Paris in the coming years. So, with this being like I guess like a theming sort of, like Disney putting stuff in one park and then moving it to another, we could potentially see Zootopia Land be expanded to other Disney parks across the world. Since it's starting in Shanghai, like, I'm thinking it could potentially come to the United States, and I actually do have a reason for that, but we'll get into that in just a little bit.
Yes, and you know, you mentioned the Tron coaster. Personally, I didn't think there would be enough space for another coaster over there, because once they first announced the Tron coaster, I thought that would mean that they would demolish Tomorrowland Speedway and make way for the Tron coaster. But as it turns out, and to my surprise, there is enough space for a coaster to put literally right next door to Space Mountain, and that's exactly where the Tron coaster will be. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I know one of the issues is that the small space Rafiki's Planet Watch has. Now, Rafiki's Planet Watch is due to open up later this year, so maybe, given the fact that it may have just a few more years of runtime until they close it down once and for all to put Zootopia Land is, well, we'll just have to see if they have that planned or will have that planned later on, because I know one of the number one most logical thoughts to put Zootopia Land where Rafiki's Planet Watch would reside is to take the steam train that currently sits at Africa and takes you onto Rafiki's Planet Watch, would be to turn that into the Bullet speed train seen at the beginning of the Zootopia, and take it right into Zootopia. And of course, the windows would be fitted with screens to take you by perhaps Bunny Burrow's countryside and have you go right into Zootopia. And that, of course, is a concept that most people have gotten from the Wizarding World of Harry Potter's Hogwarts Express attraction.
Yep. And I honestly think that really could be a good idea, because considering that a train already exists there, it would really be fitting to fully immerse yourself into how you actually get to Zootopia. Because, guys, as we all should be aware, Disney is very good at, like, trying to make you feel like you're not in the real world. Like, you're actually somewhere else. Because even when I just step foot in Walt Disney World, when I go under the main sign and it said, "Welcome to Walt Disney World," I already feel like I've already left the real world and I'm, like, somewhere else in the universe. That's how good Disney is of doing that for me. And if they're able to do this, and especially with the idea of using, like, these animated windows to make it actually look like you're actually going to Zootopia, I really think that could be a good idea. And especially since Rafiki's Planet Watch is located a little bit ways north of the main park, it really would be a great experience for everyone. And especially, it would be a good way to maybe, like, try and blend the city into the park without it actually being seen, since Disney has been known to use forced perspective. Especially, one such example is Main Street USA at the Magic Kingdom, with the buildings, and obviously to make the Cinderella Castle look like it's farther away when it's really not. That's how good they are with that, and I really think that they could use that for Zootopia Land with the buildings for the skyline.
Think about it, having a city smack dab in the middle of Animal Kingdom would stick out like a sore thumb, you know, because you drive on over there, be it bus or car, to Animal Kingdom, and you see all of these trees. You probably see the floating islands from Pandora, and of course the Tree of Life itself. So having one or two building structures smack dab in the middle of Animal Kingdom really wouldn't look good in a natural setting such as that. So if they need to grow larger trees, or as you stated, forced perspective, that would probably work well. So then that way Animal Kingdom still stays Animal Kingdom with having all the magic of Zootopia.
Indeed. Now, I honestly really kind of would be interested on how they would be able to do that, because obviously these buildings that we see in Zootopia, like, are really, really high. But then again, for some places in Disney World, they kind of do have, like, a way to make something look smaller than it is. Because, like I said, it is forced perspective, guys. So maybe they could, like, find a way to position the buildings to make them look like they're actually tall, but they're really not. So that way, like we said, it would be able to fit, since obviously from just the entrance of the park, you can't see the Tree of Life, the islands of Pandora, you know, those floating rocks there. And you can also see Expedition Everest over in Asia, which is, I think, the second tallest attraction at Walt Disney World, if I'm not wrong, because they can't, and especially for the fact, guys, if they were able to build Zootopia Land, they wouldn't be able to build the buildings higher than 200 feet, because when that happens, Disney would have to put these red blinking lights on top of the buildings for planes to see, which they do not do. One such example of this is the Hollywood Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, which I believe is like 199 and like a few inches tall. So Disney really tries to push it with this height limit and trying to make these buildings as tall as possible without having to put those red blinking lights on top. So that's what I think that they would do, and another reason why they should use forced perspective. That way they won't have to worry about how high they actually build them.
Indeed, that would be the most logical reasoning right there. I'm going to be honest. Switching gears or switching parks, really. I'm really not certain where they put it in Hollywood Studios at all. I have heard that some people wanted that if they could put it in Epcot, but honestly, I don't think Zootopia is a good fit for that. So
yeah, I don't really see it either. I mean, there are people out there saying, oh, like there are a lot of like technological advances that we don't have but do exist in Zootopia, and they're like thinking, oh, maybe it could be put in the future world somewhere. And I was like, I don't see any room in that park, guys. I just don't see it. Therefore, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Epcot is pretty much like out of the question when it comes to finding a place to put Zootopia Land in Walt Disney World. And yes, guys, I do say Walt Disney World. I'm not, more than likely, it's pretty much a guarantee at this point. It's not going to be coming to Disneyland in California because, if I'm being honest, guys, there is no room left in that resort. Because Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is literally taking up the last piece of untouched land they have in the Disneyland Resort. And because the city of Anaheim and the state of California refuses to let Disneyland expand its territories, there's really no other place it could go. I mean, unless maybe they could find somewhere in California Adventure to put it, like say maybe, I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, replace like the area where the Monsters Incorporated ride is over there. They could maybe like a little section for Zootopia Land over there, but I honestly just don't see them doing that. And especially since they already have the new Marvel-themed land coming there, which is replacing a Bugs Land, which that will be opening up in 2020, so next year. So, I mean, and plus not to mention the fact they already have plans to expand that land after it opens. So I really don't think that Disneyland is all that fond of putting another area in Disneyland until, like, I don't know, maybe years from now if they ever do come up with one. But I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that for those of you on the West Coast, it's more than likely not going to be coming there, unfortunately.
If I could just touch up on Marvel just for a bit here. If you're wondering why we won't get as much Marvel in Walt Disney World, that's only because its competitor across the way, Universal Studios, currently still has that land for Marvel and holds the rights to have Marvel in its parks. So Disney World is being very, very careful in the properties that they put down over there. So that's why they have Guardians of the Galaxy coaster coming soon, as opposed to Universal in Islands of Adventure does not have Guardians of the Galaxy. They're trying to use properties that Universal does not have, and they can't use the word Marvel. So anything over on the West Coast is safe. So you can see Spider-Man, you can see Iron Man, you can see any Marvel character that they already use, Universal at Orlando.
I mean, I have looked on the Disneyland app for like meetable characters. I have seen Captain America, Black Panther, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Okoye was there with, obviously, Black Panther. Spider-Man is over there. I have seen him a little bit. There are still a few characters that I have yet to see from Marvel make it into the parks. But like you said, since over on the West Coast, Universal really isn't all that big of a competitor to Disneyland as it is to Walt Disney World, since it's in the whole Orlando theme park complex. It really isn't that much big of a deal, but more than likely, because Universal still owns the right to have Marvel in their parks, more than likely, guys, the new Marvel Land in California Adventure will not be called Marvel Land. It might be called, like, maybe Avengers Outpost or something, but I don't know. We'll just have to see how that goes when the land opens up next year at Disneyland.
But getting back to Zootopia and possibly Walt Disney World or anywhere else, it's just great to hear that at least we're getting it somewhere.
Yes. Oh.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly in the place that we expected. However, within the few months, there has been at least a rumor that it would be coming to at least Shanghai before it came to, say, Animal Kingdom or Hollywood Studios over at Walt Disney World.
Yep. And considering that the rumors for it coming to Walt Disney World are still up there, I wouldn't be surprised if we did, considering that, like we said, there were rumors of this coming to Shanghai first, and obviously on Tuesday, they announced that it is coming there. And so, considering there have been a lot of rumors out there suggesting that things are going to be coming, I don't know when, but this being one of them, I'm pretty sure, guys, it is kind of safe to say that it could be coming here to the States at some point. And especially for the fact I did find out that the team who is responsible for building this new land coming to Shanghai, I have found out, guys, that they actually do have desires to bring it here to the States. So we here in the United States could be in favor of Zootopia Land actually becoming a thing here, either most likely at Walt Disney World. So therefore, I really would like to believe that because the team wants to bring it here, and not to mention the fact that we still want it, and not to mention in the article that I read earlier, guys, it read the first Zootopia-themed land at any Disney park. This is clearly teasing us that there could be more coming to the parks across the world, and it will not be just exclusive to Shanghai. And honestly, guys, I hope that comes true, because Disney is all for keeping secrets on things. Cough, cough, Main Street Electrical Parade at D23. But we'll just have to wait and see what's in store for us in the coming years, because clearly, like we said, Disney World, which is more than likely where it will go, is currently gearing up for the 50th, which is about a little less than 3 years from now, guys. So they really have to step up their game when it comes to this construction. And the last thing on their mind is to probably add another land in there to focus that on until all this construction for what's going on right now is done. And more than likely, the constructors or the people responsible for building these lands will probably want a little bit of a break after they're all done. So it might be maybe like 1 or 2 years after the 50th that we hear news on Zootopia Land coming to Disney World. But either way, if that does happen, I'll be happy. But like I said, guys, considering now that it is going to be somewhere in the world, and even though it is in Shanghai, I will now have a reason to go to China, and honestly, I don't really care, because I'm just wanting to go for the experience. I don't care if it's anywhere. As long as I get to experience it, I'll be happy.
I'll have to echo your thoughts right there. Yeah, I have a lot of hopes and dreams riding on to Zootopia. I have spent night after night talking to Brian here about all these grand ideas I have for it. And, maybe, hopefully, just a lot of things that I'm hoping to happen there will happen, can happen, should happen, maybe. Hopefully we'll, for Disney World itself, it could absolutely, positively meaning that we finally get a permanent meet and greets for Nick and Judy, the justice that they so rightly deserve. But, now they have a little something temporary, which is fine, but
yeah.
I know a far outcry for them to have a permanent meet and greet, hopefully one that's more themed to Zootopia, within Zootopia. So,
of course. Now, for those of you who don't know what this temporary thing is, starting last Friday, which will be lasting until September 30th, Walt Disney World and Disneyland have this whole huge celebration for Mickey's 90th birthday, which I will be able to experience at Disneyland in summer for you, and I will record that for you guys. And I will be going back to Walt Disney World at the end of July, and part of the celebration is every day at the Magic Kingdom, they're going to be having rare characters who have never really been able, or haven't really been seen that much in the parks, who are going to be having meet and greets. These including Robin Hood and yes, from Robin Hood. They will be there one day. Remy and Emile from Ratatouille. They also have, let's see, who else?
Phineas and Ferb?
Yes, Phineas and Ferb, they will be there. I believe they'll be on Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken. Who else?
Chicken Little.
Yes, Chicken Little and Abby, they'll be there. They also have, I believe, another character from, the lion who Mayor Lionheart was themed after from, I believe...
From, also from Robin Hood?
Yes, right. Oh, wait, I remember his name. I believe it was Richard the Lionheart was his name in the film, and that's why we have Mayor Lionheart, because he was inspired by that character. Now, like I said, guys, the really big temporary thing about this is, and I can't confirm this for anyone who's going to be going to Disney from now until September 30th, every Friday at the flagpole at the Magic Kingdom, Judy and Nick will be having meet and greets every Friday until then. We don't know what's going to be happening to them after this, but there are still those rumors going around that when Rafiki's Planet Watch reopens in the coming months, there are supposedly new meet and greets coming there, and rumors are suggesting that Judy and Nick could be those meet and greet characters. But we can't know for sure, because there are a little bit of problems when it comes to Zootopia in just Animal Kingdom in general. So, I mean, I don't really know, but we do want to keep our hopes up, guys. We really do want to keep our hopes up, because, like Stuffwell said, they really need to be here at Walt Disney World. And especially for the fact that they're still having meet and greets over at Disneyland in California, which I will be able to see them for you guys, and I will record. It just really bums me out that they're not seen that much here on the East Coast, especially for the fact that Walt Disney World is literally the most visited theme park complex in the world. And considering of how popular Zootopia is, it's, I believe, the 4th highest grossing animated film of all time. You think that you'd have more attention to that in the parks, and especially in the most visited theme park complex, but I don't know. I don't know what Disney has planned. Hopefully, like we're saying, that it is meet and greets for them at Planet Watch in just a few months. But for the time being, I'm just happy that they're having meet and greets over at Magic Kingdom, and obviously at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party for select nights in November and December.
And you said that it can be kind of problematic having them in Animal Kingdom. There's plenty of issues riding on that, but I do believe with all my heart that the Imagineers can do it. We have seen them do incredible things. As a matter of fact, we have seen just months ago some footage of an all-new Beauty and the Beast attraction, a little sneak preview, if you will, of the Belle animatronic, and she looks so amazing. It looks as if she stepped right out of the movie. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that they do the same exact thing with Nick and Judy, having just the most realistic-looking audio animatronics from, in my opinion, the 2 best characters just ever. So hopefully that will come to fruition. People are saying, yeah, hey, what if it's a dark ride? What if it's just an original ride? And like I said, I have many ideas myself pertaining to one or the two. So one or the other, really.
Right. Now, like I said, guys, in the article, it does say that there is an original attraction, or at least some kind of attraction, that will be coming to this new Zootopia Land. Now, the question is, we don't really know what it's going to be themed because it doesn't say in the article. But, like we're saying, it could be maybe a dark ride, possibly, like, telling, like, the main story of Zootopia, like there are quite a few Disney dark rides have in the past, like either being Snow White, The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, that's another one, and, I mean, and also, they, like I said earlier, guys, the whole Monsters, Inc. ride over at California Adventure, that also is a dark ride and follows the story of Monsters, Inc. So I wouldn't be surprised if it is a dark ride, that it turns out to be just the main story of Zootopia, and like we said, having in there really realistic audio animatronics of Judy and Nick, it would be really cool to see them like that. Just actually like be able to see them how they actually would look from the movie in real life, and there are just so many possibilities that could potentially happen for this Zootopia themed land, because like we said, guys, we don't know much information about this new land, and the only real thing that we do have as of information is the concept art that you saw in the article. And really, just in the photo alone, we just see like a main part, just the city center with the ZPD, some of the animated billboards that show when Judy first arrives in the movie, as well as some of the most iconic buildings from the skyline in the background. But I don't know how that's gonna all work. I don't know how big the land is gonna be. Because I have looked at maps of Shanghai Disneyland. There is quite a bit of room for them to build it, and if they were to actually like make it like really big, like say Star Wars, like the size of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is I believe 14 acres of land, then they could really find a way to expand the city into like all these little different districts, and not just like the main city center like we see in the concept art. They could actually maybe put in Tundra Town, maybe the Rainforest District, Sahara Square. Any of the districts of the city could potentially make their way to this land, and would make the experience all the more great, because you'd be able to experience all these different environments, and it's just so... The possibilities are endless for this new land whenever it comes to the States, and obviously to Shanghai.
And I have scrubbed over this concept art. Not much to really take from it, from what I've scrubbed over, but it definitely does look like we just might be getting Jumbo's Cafe, the scene where Nick and Judy first meet within the film. So hopefully that iconic place is built. I'm thinking that maybe we'll get some elephant-themed ice cream over there. Yeah, I also saw in the concept art that they kind of sized down the Jumbo Pops, because honestly, who would be able to eat something that massive?
Yeah.
Hopefully they sized it down to where it's more edible. And I've also saw, obviously there's Nick and Judy within the concept art. Now, whether or not if that's supposed to represent the costumed Nick and Judy that they have available from meet and greets, or if they have some little magic up their sleeve, which I have been hearing that Disney in general has been experimenting with AI technology, and hopefully, maybe in the future, we'll see this AI technology with some of our favorite characters. It might be used in Galaxy's Edge. I'm not 100% sure about that, but hopefully that is something that they'll be using, with future characters. Personally, I think that they could start with a character that is already an AI character, Baymax, and start from there. Maybe then go with Mickey and Minnie a little bit of the favorite characters, and then maybe eventually make their way to Nick and Judy. Maybe that's something they have up their sleeve. I don't know. As Nick and Judy in a concept art did look to be their exact size from the film. I've also noticed that even Clawhauser was right in front of the ZPD. We don't know if that's actually going to be the case or not, because, of course, this is only concept art, so there could be things that could be omitted, or it could just give you a general idea of what it's going to look, maybe feel like. So,
exactly. And one such example of Disney like really using this kind of technology, it's really all over the web, guys. You can probably just look it up. But I believe this is for that new show that's going to be coming to Disney Springs. But Disney has been experimenting with these like I don't really know, like they're like acrobatic robots that they're going to be using for something. I don't know. Like I said, it could be for the new show that's going to be coming to Disney Springs that's replacing Lenoba, which closed down back in December. So they've been experimenting with that, and considering from what I've seen from the videos, they're really like pushing it when it comes to this kind of technology. And if they want to do so with these characters, I really do think that they can do it. And especially for the fact that they've been testing this a little bit, somewhat in the parks a little bit. I mean, obviously, we all should be aware that in the past, Mickey has had been able to talk to you, and that still is kind of a thing at the parks in some places, although not really much in Disney World. But from the new Move It, Shake It, Mouse Could Dance It, Street Party, and obviously a lot of other stage shows at the Disney parks, specifically at the Magic Kingdom, Mickey and his friends all have the ability to talk, and it's just really, really interesting stuff that Disney could do. And I really do think that if they tried, that they could actually make Nick and Judy their actual sizes as meet and greet characters. And quite honestly, guys, that would be so cool. And if they were able to get Jennifer and Jason to voice them again for this particular experience. And more than likely, guys, if they were able to do this for Shanghai Disneyland, for like, say, maybe the ride, if they were to have the characters speak in English, because I'm not really sure, because a lot of stuff over there I think is spoken in Mandarin or Chinese or whatever the heck they speak over there. It would not be in English, so they would maybe like have to find a way to do that. Or if, like I said, if it were to come here to the States, then hopefully Jennifer and Jason would reprise their roles. Now, one such example I do think that this could happen for them doing so is that over in, and I've had this idea built up for a while, guys, and I actually have put it out there in a community post. You guys can probably find that in the community tab of my channel. But I did put out that over in Tokyo, as we all should know, since I am a big fan of the Main Street Electrical Parade and all its history, Tokyo Disneyland does still have their version of the Electrical Parade, Dreamlights. And they've been recently putting new movies into that parade. Obviously, being in 2015, they added Tangled, and then in 2017, they added Frozen. And for those two new units, they were able to get Mandy Moore, Zachary Levi to reprise their voices for Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, and also for the Frozen float, they were able to get Kristen Bell and Idina Menzel to come back to provide their voices for Anna and Elsa. And I do think if Tokyo Disneyland does keep up this tradition of every 2 years adding a new float to the parade, obviously being this year, and like you guys have put a lot of votes in the poll I have out, you guys do want to see Zootopia to be the next movie added to Dreamlights, and I really do think that they could get Jennifer and Jason to voice Nick and Judy for the float for the parade, and there are other characters in the parade that are voiced by their original voice actors. Another one being Tinkerbell, who was voiced by Mae Whitman in the whole Tinkerbell movie franchise, which is no longer going on. but they were able to get her to reprise her role as Tinkerbell for the Disney Fairies float in the parade, which that recently got updated with new music and everything. But like I said, I really do think that Jennifer and Jason will more than likely do so if Disney asks them to, especially since both of them do want to do a sequel and want to reprise their roles as their characters. So it really just makes sense, in my opinion.
You're right. I do have to say, though, unfortunately, the ride over in Shanghai, whatever ride they come out with, will more than likely be in Mandarin or Chinese. And this information comes from via AC Racebest, who you may be familiar as a huge Zootopia enthusiast and also Brony. But yeah, anyway, yeah, according to him, it will be in its native language over there, unfortunately. But at least to some capacity, we can still enjoy it for anyone who wishes to go over there almost as soon as it opens up, if not as soon as it opens up. So, but let that be said, that hopefully it will be coming over here. We'll be able to hear it in English and all that. Now back to the stunt robots. I have had a thought that maybe if they do scale Nick and Judy down to their actual sizes, I could absolutely see them running around Zootopia, maybe chasing some criminals. Maybe Weaselton is out stealing a thing or two, and they're chasing him down or something. Maybe you help them out or something, and become an honorary member of the ZPD or something. There's just so much potential for this. I think, especially for the technology as well. Because I think that the stunt robotics. Not only would they be using it for that show you were just mentioning, that's over in Disney Springs, but what was it?
I don't really know what the replacement show is, but we do know it is replacing Lenoba, which I believe was part of Cirque du Soleil or something. I believe that's what it was called. I never saw it, so I wouldn't really know.
Now, personally, I think that we'll see these robotics used, or robots, animatronics, whichever. We'll see them being used in, say, maybe Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, in certain shows, perhaps, over there. And probably, more than likely, probably see them in the upcoming Marvel lands that are coming to Disneyland and even Disneyland Paris. Hopefully they have shows all set up, or they're coming up with shows, probably. And all those superhero stunts that couldn't otherwise be performed by, humans, just, regular people, really. Hopefully that would be able, those animatronics or robots would be able to do just that.
Indeed. Plus, not to mention, that's also going to be coming to Hong Kong Disneyland, so people over there will also be able to experience it. I don't know what they could do for Marvel Land. More than likely, if they tried, because I think we might be getting a roller coaster over in the Marvel Land. So if they were to do so, then they might maybe find a way to, like, maybe on, like, a chain lift or something, they could, like, have audio animatronics of the Marvel heroes maybe doing something while you're climbing up, and then maybe just, like, have, I don't know, like, do something similar to what they're doing with the Incredicoaster over at California Adventure when that was updated back in June for Pixar Fest, and obviously still being a thing now because they're not gonna revert it back to Paradise Pier. But what they did was that, like, in those tubes that you go through on it, they have the Parr family in there trying to make it look like they're doing a little bit of action in there, but not really that much. Maybe that's something similar they could do. And if there were to be an all-new roller coaster for Zootopia Land, perhaps they'd try and do that for that roller coaster like they're doing here in the States.
Yes, probably so. Now, I don't have much ideas as far as a roller coaster in Zootopia Land. But don't let it be said that it is that people have been thinking about it. It probably will more than likely be a high-speed coaster, probably board a ZPT police cruiser. Maybe you're chasing after a criminal. Maybe Flash has gone off and in his car to exceed the speed limit again or something. Who knows? It's really anyone's guess. And I have seen different coasters that they have at the different parks around the world that we don't have over here. For example, Disneyland Paris's Crush's coaster, which is an indoor coaster, but at one point it does go outside. Perhaps they could do something similar to that if we're, say, trying to chase down Flash in his speedster car. And especially with the technology that I'm hearing that they are using for the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster, perhaps we could see something a little bit like that if they were to do something like a car chase coaster for Zootopia Land.
Right. And maybe, like, another attraction that they could potentially have, maybe, like, you have this one, well, I mean, this is kind of, like, a little bit of an idea that I actually kind of just came up with, but it would be kind of themed to, like, say, more to the kids a little bit, boarding, something like that. That is kind of like something similar you do for the Monsters Incorporated ride, and it's kind of a little bit similar to, like, say, the whole, in the Cars Land over there, they have, like, a little spinning attraction that you kind of have over there with, like, the, oh, God, I never really got a good look of it when I was there last year, in 2017, but maybe they could bring it over there for the kids, like a little area for them, while the rest of the park is mainly for, like, everyone, not just for kids. I don't really know, but that's just an idea. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about the more kiddie attractions myself. I have thought of, say, a naturalist club themed type of area, splash zone type of area, really, because kids they really like the splash zones over there, like the Casey Jr. train found at Storybook Circus over at Magic Kingdom at Disney World. Maybe have a little area themed to the Naturalist Club over there. Maybe a ZPD's, like a Zootopia Police Academy type of play area, kind of like how they have currently a play place, a little playground area themed to Ralph Breaks the Internet. Perhaps they would have like maybe an obstacle course or something of that nature, kind of themed to Judy's training over at the Zootopia Police Academy. Another thing that I have thought about is perhaps a show where they come out and make any youngsters who so desire honorary junior Ranger Scouts, or maybe even junior ZPD policeman or police mammal. Police mammal, yes.
Yeah, because we're all humans are mammals, so therefore we would technically count as mammals.
And I was trying to think of the correct terminology, of course, it being Zootopia. But anyway,
right. I really do think that it could be a good idea to have. I mean, I don't know if they'd be willing to do that if it was an Animal Kingdom, since there's already that Wilderness Explorer thing in the main park from Up from 2009, which, wow, that's going to be celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, but that's still going on there, and if they wanted to, they could do that, but obviously it would just be exclusive to Zootopia Land and not the rest of the park, like you have to do with the Wilderness Explorers, where you go all over the park and you try to collect all these badges that Russell would get. But you maybe would do something a little bit similar to that if they were to put this idea into fruition. But they'd have to differentiate it just a little bit. But it's an idea. It's an idea nonetheless. One that I honestly more than likely would maybe participate in if I was innocent enough to do so. But I've done stuff like that before.
Of course, it would be similar to the recently discontinued Jack Sparrow show that they had over at Magic Kingdom. So,
yes. That's right.
That'll be something. I'd like to take a moment to talk about potential other potential meet and greet characters, perhaps, that we'll see besides just Nick and Judy. Of course, I think one of the most obvious choices is Clawhauser, just because of how friendly he is. Friendly and outgoing he is, perhaps. I have thoughts, and I think a few others as well has thought of an animatronic Clawhauser. Now, picture this, right? The ZPD will obviously be the entrance to an attraction, a dark ride, maybe a meet and greet for Nick and Judy. I'm starting to think that maybe dark ride might be the most obvious choice here, maybe. But picture this, if you will. You enter, right as you enter the ZPD, right there at his desk, you see an interactive Clawhauser talking to guests. Maybe he's talking about the latest Gazelle album that just hit. He's asking questions and just having a great time there, greeting all the guests that come into the queue line into the ZPD. And of course, hopefully he'll lead you right into the bullpen, or the briefing room, if you will, where we'll meet another animatronic in the form of Chief Bogo, where he will inform guests of whatever type of assignment or mission that they have before they board the attraction. Now, if it were to follow the story of Zootopia, he would, of course, set the story of Zootopia, maybe by giving a similar speech he did in the beginning of the film, saying, we have 14 missing mammals, all that. Now, if it were something else, say like Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin type of an attraction, where you are assigned to help the ZPD, or more specifically Nick and Judy, to go and hunt down certain criminals, then that could also work as well.
Indeed. And maybe, I mean, this is just an idea, maybe the ride itself could maybe themed similar to Test Track, meaning like how you board a ZPD cruiser and then you just go around, like say if then again, if it was an original ride, if they didn't follow the story of Zootopia, then you obviously, you'd go off with Nick and Judy, try to catch criminals, and obviously if there was like another car involved, you'd have to speed up, kind of like what they do with all the testing when it comes to designing your cars for Test Track over in Epcot, which it's really kind of interesting to think how that could play out, because really Disney could do anything, because like we said, it could be themed to the story of the movie, or unless if we're lucky, by the time this land opens, Zootopia 2 will already be a thing, then maybe if time passes enough, the story for the ride could maybe have to do with the sequel and not the original Zootopia. But honestly, I'm more than likely pretty sure it would lean toward the original. But if they were to do so for the sequel, then I'm all for that as well.
Right. I've lost my train of thought, darn it. Now,
well,
as far as other shows, I have thought of maybe a Gazelle show, maybe a dance party featuring Gazelle. Hopefully they would come up with new original songs for Shakira to sing, besides Try Everything, as I believe that there needs to be maybe some other songs that I'd like to hear. I'm sure many others would like to hear songs that Gazelle probably would sing. And one of the other places that I thought that they could put Zootopia Land within Animal Kingdom is possibly Dino Land USA. Maybe we theme Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama to, say, Wild Times. And if you're not familiar with Wild Times, then you can go ahead and check that out on YouTube. There is a deleted scene, or rather a deleted concept of Zootopia, if you will. So maybe they could bring back that concept and incorporated into a rethemed area. And the reason why I bring up Dinoland USA is because if anyone is familiar with Animal Kingdom, you should know that not too far from Dinoland USA is a amphitheater where currently there is a show called Rivers of Light. Now, I believe that Rivers of Light, that whole area over there, would be your perfect place to have gazelle concerts right there.
I completely agree. I haven't seen this show, but I have seen little footage of it. And honestly, when I do see it, it does kind of remind me of the concert that happens at the end of the film as the credits begin rolling. And honestly, if they were to maybe, say, promote the land, they could maybe add Gazelle in there to promote it. And obviously, she would probably sing Try Everything and maybe some other songs. And just, it'd be a really good form of entertainment. Now, I do have another idea, guys. And it does pertain back to what we were saying with maybe Clawhauser being in Zootopia Land over at Shanghai, since we can see him in the concept art. My thoughts are, and I actually had this idea back at the beginning of 2018, because I did a live stream on Twitter, which you guys can follow me and stuff while on. Unfortunately, it did get deleted because Periscope did update their terms, so it's no longer a thing. But I did put out, like, for my thoughts on, like, say, the premiere of Zootopia 2, or maybe this could be even a thing over at Tokyo, like I was talking about earlier with the with Dreamlights. They could maybe have a Zootopia float in the Main Street Electrical Parade if they were to bring it to Hollywood, because as we all should be aware, like I've continuously put out in videos, we still have no word on the Main Street Electrical Parade, whether if it's going to be coming back to Disneyland or if it's really gone. I don't think it is, but if they were to do so, then they could maybe have a third outside Disney Park performance of the parade for the premiere of Zootopia 2. They have a custom Zootopia float leading the parade, and then after that, everything else, the Casey Jr. train and drum, the Alice in Wonderland unit, all the nostalgic floats. And for this particular performance, or if they, like I said, if they were to do so for Dreamlights over in Tokyo, they could blend Try Everything, but they'd have to change the pitch a little bit, with Baroque Hoedown, which is the Electrical Parade's main theme. And I have carefully examined these two songs, guys. They actually, in some parts, do match up when it comes to rhythm. So I really do think if Disney tried, they can do so. And like I said, that's just an idea. I don't know if it will come true. And back to what I was saying with Clawhouse and everything, for the idea, like say, for the entrance for the new attraction coming to Zootopia Land. Obviously, like Stuffwell said, you'd more than likely enter the ZPD, and then you'd maybe see an audio animatronic of Clawhauser and then Chief Bogo. Maybe they could do so for Zootopia float for Dreamlights if they wanted to, since that has been a thing for some parades in the past, and I believe so still today.
And as a matter of fact, we both kind of came up with an idea if Zootopia were to have its own parade, probably more than likely a nighttime parade. Now, it's anybody's... now, we don't even know if Disney World even has plans to put parades back in the other 3 parks. As some time ago, one by one, each of the parks stopped doing parades except for Magic Kingdom. The only exception, of course, is that Magic Kingdom does not do nighttime parades except for the Halloween and Christmas parties.
Right.
But just thinking about possibly, let's say, like Animal Kingdom wants to bring back the parades, or maybe if Zootopia is in Hollywood Studios, or maybe just for some reason they just put it Magic Kingdom. I don't know. Brian and I talked about the concept of maybe a nighttime Zootopia parade. Each float would represent each district, maybe ending with a Gazelle concert at the end. Have police cruisers, actual looking police cruisers, but they're from the ZPD, designed how they are in the films and all that. It would be a really, really awesome thing for them to put together. If at any point Disney feels the need to introduce parades at, say, Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or Magic Kingdom.
Indeed. And that actually kind of brings into a little something I did also have for an idea. In fact, I was even thinking this could have maybe been a thing if the original concept of Zootopia had stayed the way it was, since with Wild Times, Nick built his own theme park. Eventually, maybe over time, if the park became popular enough, like how similar it was to Disneyland before the Main Street Electrical Parade premiered back in 1972. Guests did not like to stay at the park in the evening hours because they just felt there wasn't really all that much to do. But when the Electrical Parade came along, that's when people really started to want to go to Disney at night. And I was thinking maybe for Wild Times, Nick would have to come up with a similar experience, and he would probably maybe find a way to create his own nighttime parade for his park. Maybe, if we're lucky, like a very, very low budget version of the Electrical Parade, and then eventually maybe he'd be able to upgrade it with all the money of the tickets that the Predators would buy, and so he'd be able to upgrade them like the original Disneyland version was, because for any nostalgic fans, we should know that when the Main Street Electrical Parade premiered in 1972, most of the floats were only flat wire frames on wheels, like how the electrical water pageant looks at Walt Disney World. And those were pulled or pushed by hand, but then 5 years later, in 1977, the parade returned after a short hiatus, and all the floats were 3D, so maybe that would be something similar that could have happened. And back to like the whole ZPD cruisers and parades, I was thinking maybe for Dreamlights, maybe, or even my idea for the Zootopia 2 premiere with the Electrical Parade being there, they could have like maybe decal a few police cars to make them look like ZPD cruisers, and obviously maybe find a way to electrify them, and maybe on top you have the blue and light sirens or lights timed to the rhythm of Baroque Hoedown, and obviously maybe have like the blaring siren play at certain points during the song. But I don't know, it's just an idea, and I thought I actually kind of pitched this idea to Byron, Howard, and Rich Moore, and they didn't really respond. I don't even think they saw it since they're so busy. But it is an idea that we could see if Disney wanted to do so. And obviously, for this, just like Zootopia having its own parade, I really do think, I agree, that could be a good way to have floats in there, to have ZPD cruisers as parade floats for wherever they decide to put them, whether it may be at the beginning or at the end. So like maybe act like the then again, you know, they probably still have people carrying like the rope at the end to prevent people from going up and touching the floats, since that's not something you should do. But it's a really interesting theory on how that could all work out for a Zootopia parade if they were able to do so, because like we said, the parades at Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios aren't really a thing anymore. But if they were to do so for this, that would be a good way to introduce the parades back at the other three parks at Walt Disney World than just Magic Kingdom, which right now the only parade going on there, like, technically speaking, I'm not counting the street party. I mean, you could, but the only other parade they have there is Festival of Fantasy, which has been playing there since 2014. So if they were to do so, that would give more entertainment options at the other parks, rather than just Magic Kingdom, which has the main source of entertainment, being with fireworks shows, stage shows, or parades.
Now, as far as other nighttime offerings that I have thought about is that, and this is in the case if Zootopia does come to Animal Kingdom. As we all know, during the holidays, Halloween, of course, the only park that celebrates Halloween in Disney World is Magic Kingdom. But for Christmas, especially for Christmas, all three parks celebrate Christmas except Animal Kingdom. And what better way to bring the holidays to Animal Kingdom than to see how the citizens of Zootopia celebrate Christmas. Now, not only just Christmas, but Halloween as well. So in that way, you have an excuse to celebrate Halloween and Christmas right in Animal Kingdom, right in Zootopia.
Indeed, and that's actually something similar that they do over at Disneyland in California. Just recently, about 2 years ago, they started started celebrating Christmas and Halloween at Disney California Adventure instead of just it being at Disneyland Park. And honestly, I think that is a really cool thing that Disney decided to do over on the West Coast. And for this idea, I really do think that could be a way for Disney World to do so, just like Disneyland's doing, to expand the celebration of the holidays at the different parks rather than just at the Magic Kingdom for Halloween, and obviously for Christmas at Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. So you'd be able to bring Animal Kingdom into those two holidays for the end of the year.
And you know what? I just thought of another nighttime spectacular that they could possibly add just now. We all are aware of the projection technology that they use on the castle at, I would say, pretty much every one of the Disney parks that, of course, has castles there. So we're talking all the Disneylands around the world, and, of course, Magic Kingdom over at Orlando. So the projection technology, projection mapping that they have around the world, or, around the Disney parks around the world, I believe that they could use that type of technology on the buildings of Zootopia itself. Maybe have a type of show go on, because when you think about it, Zootopia Park, the buildings itself would basically be the center. It would represent basically the castle, if you will, of the whole area. So maybe we could be looking to see a nighttime spectacular with projection shows, maybe fireworks right there in the heart of Zootopia of Sahara Square. Probably. I just came up with that one.
Perhaps. I mean, there are other places there rather than just the castles that they do projection shows. A big one being on the Chinese Theater, which is now the center of Hollywood Studios. They have all those projection shows on there, like being the one celebrating the movies, Star Wars, A Galactic Spectacular, and what will be coming in May, the new projection show, which will be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Hollywood Studios, which is going to have Zootopia included in that show. And another one that just recently kind of like went into production is during the Christmas season. They have these projections play on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror Hotel for like every so often during the night. So this could be an idea that could become a thing if Zootopia Land were to go with that idea. They could maybe also maybe add fireworks in there if they wanted to, but mainly probably just the projection mapping that Disney is well known for when it comes to these shows.
Now I have one other idea to pitch before we reach our last topic, which would be the food and beverage portion of the for our ideas here. But one other idea before we get to that I would like to talk about is the Skyliner. As we all should know, Disney over at Walt Disney World is currently testing and still constructing the Skyliners over at Walt Disney World, which will help hopefully help with any transportation issues and give us another option besides boats and buses or anything else of that matter. To help traverse not the Magic Kingdom, but Disney World. Of course, this is only limited to Hollywood Studios, a few of the resorts around the area, and Epcot. But I have heard that if all goes well for the Skyliner, they are thinking about, afterward, of course, they are thinking about adding a station over at Animal Kingdom. Now, here's the idea that I have. So, we all know that Zootopia has its own sky gondola system for its own over in the Rainforest District. And I guess it disconnects, or maybe has a station somewhere in the center of the city, the downtown area of the city, probably. But we do know that the Rainforest District has its own sky gondola. So, what better way to incorporate the Skyliner system over at Walt Disney World than have a station right in Zootopia where it should be, or could be, in Animal Kingdom?
I do agree with this. When I first heard this idea from Stuffwell guys, I thought it was genius. That is literally probably one of the best things that Disney could do if they were to bring Zootopia Land to the United States, and obviously at Walt Disney World, because the Skyliner, I mean, I don't know how popular it's going to be. Hopefully it will be very popular use of transportation. If they were to do so, yes, they would expand it, and it would be so great for them to put it in Zootopia Land, so that way there's another entrance into the park, and also it would be just a great way to represent or to recreate a scene from the movie that is just like so like loved, especially since it's a part that many fans that really think it's just such a sweet moment, and it would be a good way to kind of expand the Skyliner. And obviously, I don't know if there would be any other places to do so, but yeah, that would make the most logical sense. And I actually kind of did say this back in June, because I was on a special behind-the-scenes tour of when they take you to the roundhouse for the Walt Disney World Railroad backstage. I did sort of like say, like, maybe since the Skyliner is being built, I was thinking if they were to expand it, because we did sort of get into it, like I said, and I actually kind of did say if Zootopia Land were to be a thing here in Animal Kingdom, if they were to expand it there, they could maybe recreate that scene from the movie. And the cast member actually said, "Oh my God, that's a genius idea. I want to see that." So the fact that that kind of already sort of like a thing, maybe Disney, if they were to do so, already maybe has that idea in mind. To expand it, and obviously to include the land, so that way each one benefits each other.
Yeah, and I also thought that this would also be a good way to maybe say incorporate Little Rodentia. We could overlook Little Rodentia as we're pulling into Zootopia, or pulling out of Zootopia. Just a little place to so we can at least have Little Rodentia incorporated in some form or fashion in the Zootopia themed land. Maybe get a little sense of just the city itself as we're pulling into it in the station. But how this is going to work is anybody's guess, and maybe we'll see if they actually execute that in the coming years. Now, the last topic I want to bring up, as I do believe I have reached my limit of ideas, besides merchandise. I mean, if I could, real quick on merchandise, I think the obvious thing, of course, is to bring maybe half, if not all, of the merchandise that they have over in the Asian parks, like in Tokyo and in
Shanghai and Hong Kong.
Right. If they could bring all, if not, I mean, some, if not all of the merchandise they have over there and bring it over to the States, that would be great. Maybe come up with anything new, like maybe ZPD badges, maybe dart guns, as that was something that we saw in the teaser trailer, but it never was used in the actual film. Clothes, just plushes, you name it. I even thought of maybe if they had a little section of the DMV where you could get your own Zootopia license plate, maybe even license printed. That could be something. But if we could move on to the food and beverage portion real quick. Obviously, I would think that they would incorporate the type of diet that they have over in Zootopia, which is that that they're basically vegan over there. The predators, they eat insect meat. I don't know if they actually would incorporate insect meats somehow, some way for actual guests to eat over there. So that's anyone's guess. But I would imagine that, yeah, we would see like fruits and vegetables over there. Maybe something related to blueberries, since Nick loves blueberries. We've previously stated popsicles. That is definitely an obvious one, as well as the Jumbo Pop. Maybe a stand for Gideon's Pies, probably. Maybe a little brew similar to the Night Howler serum. Don't worry, this isn't actual Night Howler serum, BT Dubs. But yeah, a lot of potential here, lots and lots of potential for Zootopia themed land, and I don't think the ideas will stop coming up, quite honestly. So.
We'll just have to wait and see when the land opens, and I'm guessing the next 3 years. I mean, that's just a guess. We don't know when it's going to be opening, guys, but I can assure you when it does, me and many other Zootopia fans who I'm in touch with are all going to be going together, hopefully, including Stuffwell here, and hopefully we'll all be able to experience it, and I will be able to record it, like I said, for you guys who unfortunately maybe won't be able to get over there before it comes to the United States. But either way, I just want to say this has been an absolute blast talking about all these ideas. And like I said, guys, we could be seeing that very soon coming here to the States, because like I said, the team wants to bring it here. And I guess that basically wraps up this update video. This was a lot longer than I wanted it to be, so I guess it's kind of like a podcast almost. But Stuffwell, thank you for all your ideas and for joining me here. We kind of lost connection a little bit. In fact, we kind of a little poor connection, but it doesn't matter to me. As long as we had fun, that's what matters.
If I may, real quick, I would just like to say if you're interested in following me, I am on Twitter. That would be at Stuffwell303. So I can be found there. I occasionally do Periscopes, trying to be a little bit better about maybe doing weekly Periscopes. But that's where you can find me over there. I talk Zootopia, among other things, over there. So, yeah, that's where I can be found.
So, guys, I thank you all so very much for watching this video. Make sure to stay tuned for more updates from me, and as well to make sure to stay updated on the Disney Parks blog for more updates for the new Zootopia-themed land coming soon to Shanghai Disneyland in the coming years. And until the next video,
back to adventure!
Peace out, all our minifigs.